Hello and welcome to the 30th video that I'll be posting in my Unity platformer tutorial series. And in today's video, we're going to be creating our own sprites. And not in Unity sprites, we are actually going to be creating our own sprite asset. And the way we can do it is by using Adobe Illustrator. Or if you don't have Adobe Illustrator, then you can use an online tool that can be found in your Google Chrome browser or any browser you're using actually, and it is called Piskel. So I'm going to type in my Google browser here, Piskel online. And Piskel is essentially a online sprite editor, and if you see here, you can see your animations, you can edit your sprites, and to create a sprite, you can just simply click on this button and it's going to bring you up to this huge template here, and yeah, you can see your animations through here. But before I discuss about Piskel, I want to discuss more about the Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to go back to my Adobe Illustrator, and yeah. So now I'm going to create the new file by clicking on the file here, File, New, and I'm going to make it into a 16 by 16 because we are going to make sure that the sprite we are drawing has the pixels per unit of 16. And I'm gonna name this something like mushroom pixel art. Okay, and then as you can see, our Adobe Illustrator creates a paper for us, and the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna find your rectangular grid tool. And what I did was, for my version at least, was click on the more here, and I'll find my rectangle grid tool and I just drag it up into my hotbar here. But for your specific version, I do not know, because Adobe Illustrator is different from one version to another, and I don't know how you can find your rectangular grid tool, but it's usually near the square tool or rectangular tool, and then you can just right click. Anyway, you go to your rectangular grid tool here, click on it, and then click on the edge here, and then there is the specifications for a rectangular grid tool, and I want to make sure that I'm using 16 per 16 because our paper is 16 by 16, and the number of horizontal sliders is 16 and 16. Click on OK here, and it's gonna make us the grid. I'm gonna click on my selection tool and move my rectangular grid tool to the paper. Make sure that it's in the center, and then I'm going to reduce the stroke here. As you can see, it's black because of the stroke. I'm just gonna reduce the stroke to something like here, where there is no stroke at all, but I need a little stroke. So I am just gonna go to 0.05. Okay, and that is good enough for me to see, and at the same time still see the line here. And as you can see, if you calculate this is 16 and this is 16, and that is what we want. So once you've done this, you go and find your live paint tool here, your live paint bucket tool, and just select this rectangular grid tool again, click on your live paint tool, choose any color you want, and there you go. You can start creating your own pixel art. And I'm just gonna draw a real quick sketch of a mushroom, and this might take a while, so I'm gonna speed things up. And if you want to delete your picture, for example, you made a mistake like this, you're gonna go and find the none color and then just drag it again. Okay, and this drawing or creating the sprite here will take a long time, so I'm gonna speed things up. Okay, so as you can see, this is now my mushroom. And the zoom in and zoom out for Adobe Illustrator, if you don't know, is Control plus and Control minus. And if you are drawing white parts like here, like I'm doing it right now, don't forget to also make sure that you cover up these white parts, because sometimes you don't cover up the white parts, and when we delete the background, it doesn't have any color. So I recommend filling it in. Okay, so once I've done that, we can actually start cutting our sprite so that it doesn't have these pixels anymore. And the way we can do that is by clicking on the expand button, and then you're gonna go to your direct selection tool and just select parts that you don't want, like these 4 blocks here. And this might take a while, so I'm gonna speed things up. Okay, so once you've done cutting out all of your sprites, you can see that this is the image you have left. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on the image here, and then you're gonna go to the strokes here. So you're gonna make sure that the strokes is none here until there's an X here. And there you have it. This is your sprite now. And that is how you are going to create your very own pixel image by using Adobe Illustrator. Okay, once you're done with that, you are essentially done with your sprite creation. Now, you can click on File, Save, and it's gonna ask us where we want to save. I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna save this in here. Let's say Mushroom Pixel Art, okay? And once you save this, you can actually export this to PNG by going to File, Export, okay? And then export as, it's gonna go to our file, and then you can select PNG. And that is how you convert your pixel art into PNG, where you can later go back to Photoshop, delete all the background, and then change it to Unity, and bam, you have your sprite. And another feature that I want to teach you guys is creating multiple artboards so that we can create another sprite or animate. So the way I like to do this in Adobe Illustrator is click on artboard, click on add the new artboard, and now in my second artboard here, there's nothing. In my artboard 1, there is this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click everything. So I'm going to click on using my selection tool here. Click Control C and then go to my artboard by double clicking on it, pasting this, and I'm going to resize it to the original position. And then you can copy paste that, and then top layer here is going to be destroyed or deleted, and this layer here, you can actually change the opacity to something like 50% or to something like 21%, and then you can go to your original image, go on top of that, and we are going to delete this. As you can see, now it is transparent halfway. Then we can get our rectangular tool here, click on OK again. It's going to create this grid again, and then you can just put it on top, and now you have a transparent background so that you can draw or try to replicate this mushroom again, so you can animate. And that is how you create another artboard. And you can just say this is, or rename this to mushroom original, and then artboard 4 will be like mushroom idle 1, and so on. So this is our original image, and this is our second image that you can draw on. And you can do this by going to the mushroom, change the opacity, and then create a new grid so that you can draw a new picture. And once you're done with your picture, for example, you can just drag the grid, delete the transparent background, and just move the original grid back to the position. Okay, and that's it actually for today's video. I've covered up everything you're gonna need for Adobe Illustrator, and I'll probably show you how to export your image from Adobe Photoshop or PNG file to Unity. So I'm gonna go to my mushroom original here. I'm going to delete my mushroom and 1 because I don't actually use it. File, save, file, export, export as, and then PNG, export, okay, close this, keep data, and I will be exporting that file to Unity right now. So give me a second. Okay, so here we are in our Unity folder, and I am going to go to my assets here, and I'm just gonna right click, show in Explorer, and I'm gonna go to my, where was it? Mushroom, pixel art, open file location, copy this and paste inside our assets folder. And we should have our image loading soon. And I actually made a mistake because I've copy pasted outside the assets. So we're actually going to drag our mushroom picture to our assets here. And now it's going to load. And we can just actually create a sprite for this. So I'm going to click on create 2D object sprite. And I'm going to drag the picture here. I'm going to name this mushroom. And sorting layer will be in items. And as you can see, the picture is so small. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this mushroom here and change the pixels per unit to 16. Click on apply here. And our image becomes big. And I actually did not rename this properly, so I'm gonna name this again mushroom. And the problem we're having here is that it's not really pixelated, it's like blurry image. And the way we can fix that is if we go to our inspector here, go to our image here, and as you can see, our filter mode is stuck in bilinear, and we're actually wanting our picture here to be at point no filter. So click on point no filter here, and as you can see, the pixels or blurriness is gone. Click on apply, and there we have it. Now if I click on our R here, so we can scale it a little bit down, and just move it. And there we have it. We have our very own sprite now. And yeah, that is how you actually create your own sprite in Unity. And of course, I haven't put any programming for our mushroom, but I'm just explaining to you how we are actually creating a sprite from scratch in Adobe Illustrator. Okay, I'm going to click File and Save. And then close this again. And then now we can go back to our Piskel here. And Piskel is, like I said earlier in the video, Piskel is somewhat like Adobe Illustrator, and it is an application created for pixel art making, and it also has built-in layers and animations so that we can animate our character. Let me try to erase here. But the sad thing about Piskel is the fact that if we are trying to draw a pixel art, you got to keep in mind that if we are using 16 pixels per unit, then you have to draw in 16 pixels. And if you don't do that, there is a specific amount of range where you cannot increase anymore. Like Piskel is bounded, or you cannot change the size of this picture here. So if you want to draw something big or large, for example, you can't do that in Piskel, but then it is still pretty amazing how this can be found online. So instead of paying for Adobe Illustrator, you can do this for free. And yeah, so here are the tools here. So the first thing is the pen tool. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is where you draw. And you have the vertical mirror, which is pretty awesome, where you can draw, for example, one image here, and then you don't need to draw anymore. Then you got the paint bucket tool, the normal one. And then this is somewhat like where you can change the paint here. Then you got eraser tool, like pretty self-explanatory too, so you can delete. Stroke tool, a line making tool. You have a rectangular tool here, so you can create rectangles. Circle, and move tool, so you can move. And I guess you got shape selection, so you can select the shape and you can move that. And we have our rectangular selection tool, and it's pretty self-explanatory because there are instructions here like Control C, Control V, pasting, license, dithering, color picker, and yeah. And then if you want to add layer, just click on here so you can create layer. As you can see, you can also add a new frame, so you can draw another. And there you go. We can see the animation playing, animating in our scene here. And yeah. So I think that's it for today's video. Actually, I've covered up everything about Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, Unity, and Piskel. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys understand more about platformer making and creating sprites in today's video. And I'll see you in the next video.